The lady from Texas, Ms. Escobar, is recognized for 5 minutes on the Scanlon Amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I too would like to thank Ms. Scanlon, my colleague, for this very reasonable amendment. As we have seen across the country, women have been rising up and speaking out about these all-out bans on their own reproductive freedom. As my colleague, Ms. Jayapal, mentioned, 13 states already have a ban. Over 100 House Republicans signed up to support Lindsey Graham's legislation. And so this is not a threat, this is reality for a lot of women. And I will tell you, it's been jarring to hear some of my colleagues speak on behalf of women. And I wonder if any of them have taken the time to speak to women who have been placed in a position where they had to make the choice with their doctor, with their family, about whether they end a pregnancy or whether their own life ends. And if they have not heard from these women, I would encourage them to reach out to women in their district to hear how horrific, frightening, and terrifying this situation is for many women. And the thought that there are so many men in our country who have the audacity to feel like they can speak for women and their physicians is incredible to me. The fact that they can stand between a woman and her doctor and criminalize a woman's rightful need to have reproductive freedom is jarring and unconscionable. You know, and also as my colleague, Ms. Jayapal, pointed out, this whole debate about pro-life really in many ways can be described as more of a pro-forced birth movement. Because once these babies are born, I can tell you, my colleagues and I have worked hard to make sure that families have access to the help and the support that they need. We voted for childcare, high quality childcare, access to childcare for parents. We voted for the expanded child tax credit. We voted for universal pre-K. We voted to make sure that families had the support that they need, and we did not have support from our Republican colleagues. Our Republican colleagues now have control of the House. I have yet to see them come forward with any legislation that would support working families, needy families, all of those children that they purport to care about. It is also, again, really jarring to hear my Republican colleagues say that somehow we don't value the sanctity of life, when, again, we have been the party time and time again making sure that we uplift those Americans, especially those families with children, so that they have a fighting chance. I will close with this. I will again thank my colleague, Ms. Scanlon, for this amendment. If there is nothing to fear with this study, I mean, if my colleagues are so adamant about abortion bans, let's at least have the conversation and the information around the consequences of them. There should be absolutely nothing to fear with voting in support of this amendment if you believe what you believe and what you've shared with us here today. And so with that, Ms. Scanlon, thank you so much for the amendment. I look forward to supporting it. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. I would just point out the gentlelady talked about helping mothers and their newborns. That's exactly what crisis pregnancy centers do. And in the aftermath of the Dobbs leak decision and the decision itself, over 100 crisis pregnancy centers and churches were attacked. And it's my understanding, and the Republicans, the American people's understanding, that the FACE Act has not been used to prosecute people who did that kind of damage to the very places that provide the care that the gentlelady was talking about to these moms and newborn children. And that's exactly the language in our oversight plan that this amendment would strike. And that's why we oppose the gentlelady's amendment.